That briefing just ending now at Latuli House. Now, as that briefing's been happening literally in the last 60 seconds or so, breaking news statements coming through from the Presidency. I'll read it to you. Sbu Ngalwa, our politics editor, is with us. President Cyril Ramaphosa has today placed the Minister of Health, Dr Zweli Mkhize, on special leave. And the period of special leave, goes the statement, will enable the Minister to attend to allegations concerning contracts between the Department of Health and Digital Vibes, the SIU investigating the matter. The President awaits a report on the outcome of this probe. Of course, the next question then you ask is, who is the Acting Minister of Health? Well, the Acting Minister of Health is going to be the Minister of Tourism, Ngubane, until further notice. Okay, that's the breaking news, literally just to hand in the last minute. Sbu Ngalwa with me, Sanusha Naidu, the analyst, with me as well. Sbu, let's just start with you. This has all happened very quickly. Just an hour and a half ago in the Northern Cape, the Health Minister himself saying that he had asked for special leave. The President's granted his request.
Yes, and the choice of acting health minister, I must say, it was quite unexpected in terms of all the speculation. I don't think anyone would have looked in that direction. But, I mean, Stephen, perhaps it explains, in a way, it is explained by the fact that some of the speculation was around the former Minister of Health, who's currently Minister of Cooperative Governance. There was speculation that she might be acting, but we know the fact that she has been in that department previously and perhaps has also clashed with some of the leading voices in the medical sphere. Perhaps that has to do with the decision why the President didn't go that route. Also, Minister Aaron Motsoaledi was also Minister of Health. He also did not get some raving reviews, for lack of a better word, during his term as Health Minister. And I guess at this time, when the department is seized with the issue of rolling out this COVID-19, the COVID-19 vaccine rollout, that perhaps the President opted for what I would call a neutral choice. Last week in Parliament, he reiterated that the government rollout program is not just about the Department of Health or even the minister, but rather he made special mention of the interministerial committee that is led by the Deputy President. He also made mention of the Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Joe Patla. Obviously, Stephen, as you pointed out, and also as we know, that minister in cabinet, only members of cabinet can act in another cabinet portfolio, and that deputy ministers are not members of cabinet. And I guess, in a way, that does explain that decision, but it doesn't make it any less surprising.
Sanusha Naidu, you're watching this, you're hearing the news literally as we're hearing the news that Dr. Zweli Mkhize placed on special leave. The Tourism Minister, Ngubane, now the Acting Minister. I suppose this shows the President had to act in some way.
Yeah, I think the situation was becoming dire for him. The optics wasn't good. The kind of pushback that we're seeing every single day, a new piece of evidence is being produced, or rather reporting is being produced. The entanglements are becoming completely complex in this situation. So something had to be done. And perhaps that was the indication. You asked earlier before we went to the briefing, what is the signal or how do we interpret it? And I think this is perhaps what the Minister on special leave now, Minister Mkhize, who indicated in that briefing, that he had asked the President for this kind of decision to be made or this kind of discussion to be had. So we see that the optics of it, I think, is very important. But the timing, I mean, in a flash, we've seen all of this happen within a space of an hour or an hour and a bit. And I think that in itself tells you now how dire it was for the President to send the right message out to the public.
Sanusha, what do you read in the fact that Dr. Mkhize hasn't resigned as health minister? Do you think he's waiting it out?
Well, I think I'm not sure if you saw a little letter to the editor in the Witness newspaper in KZN, talking about the court of public opinion and action and letting institutions, particularly institutions investigating these kinds of tender irregularities, to run its course and do its job. And it was actually signed by one Zweli Mkhize. And I think to a large extent, there were other dynamics in that, but I won't want to go into it today, here, now. But that is an indication that he still believes that there's nothing that, or rather he believes that he needs to be going through the due process of the legal investigation, the legal process, etc. So I think that idea that he could do the right thing and resign, again, is not something that perhaps in his mind he feels that it's the actual action that should be taken. I think in a sense he's also kind of, pulling back in the way that you have to let the whole process go through. And it kind of comes out as well in the statement that the Deputy Secretary General had read about, corruption and so forth. And I think that's the intention. Now, the challenge is going to be what comes out of that SUI report. What do they say? Or rather, what would be the role, or what they find in the investigation around the role of the minister? And then I think you're going to be seeing a much different kind of trajectory around these issues. Because if it comes out that there was some kind of corrupt relationship in this whole process, it then throws the whole PR system, not the PR system, the PR of the minister, but also the fact that it now puts the president in a much more difficult position, because he has to pronounce on a minister in his cabinet. He's not pronouncing on an opponent in the ANC. This is his cabinet.
Sbu, the fact, so over the weekend there was some reporting, it seemed fairly informed to me, but I mean, what do I know, that the Minister Mkhize was actually considering a resignation. Now we have the request for special leave, which is granted. Could he be digging in his heels?
Look, I don't believe, you've asked this question, Stephen, I don't believe that the minister actually believes that he is guilty of anything that is done, anything wrong, because if he had done so, if he believed it, at the very least he would have wanted to save face and resign by seeking special leave. I think it's him communicating that he actually wants to save government the embarrassment of himself, of him having to explain himself at every turn, and the unadded pressure that is coming from various quarters, including opposition parties. But I think if anything, though, the president still has a difficult situation in his hands, because there is that SIU report that is still coming. And I must say, though, although at a provincial level, there is a precedent in a way, Stephen, where an MEC, Masuku, if you recall, he also happens to be MEC for Health, where he was found to have been neglectful of his duties, and also where it was said in that SIU report that he failed to carry out his functions in compliance with the Public Finance Management Act and also with the Constitution. Now remember, one of the key things that tripped Bandile Masuku was the fact that he had not read a crucial email that related to some of the beneficiaries of the PPE contracts from Gauteng. Now, in the case of Minister Zweli Mkhize, we have heard that the minister actually is said to have signed the contract, which is also the allegation that the DA is making as a basis for the court case, in fact, for the criminal charge that they've laid against the minister. How possible is it that the SIU could find differently in this case, if you mirror that or you hold it against what it found in relation to Bandile Masuku? So I still do believe that the president, this might be a temporary reprieve in terms of granting the minister leave, but he still has to make a decision, and I don't think that the SIU will be kind on the minister.
Sbu Ngalwa, our politics editor, busy man today. I'm going to ask you to stay with us, I'm afraid. Sanusha Naidu, she's still with us as well. We'll ask you to remain with us too, Sanusha. There's a lot more to talk about. Let's have a quick look at your headlines. We'll continue that conversation in a moment.